Welcome into the crossover. That right there is NBA veteran Keyon Dooling. I'm your boy 10-Day Tony. And on today's show, we go top to bottom on the All-Star Game rosters for 2026. What we like, what we don't like, who got snubbed, who was good as a selection. A lot of cool stuff on the show today, including a Shane Battier conversation that I didn't think we were going to have. So a lot of good stuff on the crossover today. Make sure that you subscribe. Again, wherever the subscribe button is on your screen right now, subscribe to the crossover on YouTube. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing to all of our stuff on Spotify, on our IG, on any place that you can find the crossover. Go show us some love. To that, let's start the show. KD, so some stuff that we have been talking about is a bit foreshadowing in what was going on in the All-Star game. Obviously, we got the full list of not only the All-Star starters, we got the reserves, we got everybody in now with the All-Star game coming up in a couple of weeks. What did you think of when you saw all the reserves, when you saw the format, when you saw everything? What was your first takeaway?
Well, I think my first takeaway was, much deserved. Anybody who's in the All-Star conversation, they deserve to be there, right? That means they're putting in work on the highest level in the best basketball league across the globe. So, one, I salute all those guys. Every time it's this time of year, there's going to be somebody who gets snubbed or who gets the short end of the stick, and we're here to cover that, right? I think because of the new format, when we talked about the foreshadowing part or the foresight part, I think there were some international players that probably, were on the cusp, right? It could have gone either way. I know for me, Kawhi Leonard has played like an all-star historically, and the last 2 months of the season, he's been,
Lights
elite.
out, yeah.
There's not 5 players in the league who's been playing better than Kawhi Leonard. So I thought that was a snub, but I also understand the kid out in Portland has been putting in work.
Yeah,
right?
Denny Avdia.
And we don't get to see him a whole bunch, but man, his growth and his development from where he was with the Wizards to who he is right now, like I salute my hat to him because he's putting in work. He's growing as a player. But on the scouting report, and if you ask around the league, they don't game plan necessarily, to like stop him, right? Kawhi Leonard is one of those guys that you have to build your game plan around. So I thought that was a little bit of a snub. I thought Brandon Ingram in the East, with how well Toronto has been playing, with Siakam kind of getting in there.
Scottie got the nod.
Scottie got the nod, for sure, right? And deservingly, right? Because he's a two-way player. He's one of the best defenders, top 5 defender in the NBA, right?
Okay.
If not the best.
Okay.
Yeah, if not the best, right? He's the only player who has a certain amount of blocks and steals. Like Scottie can play defense 1 through 5. He's got the motor. He's got the mindset. He's another Florida boy as well. So I might be a little bit biased, but I'll digress for a second. But I just think that Siakam was a guy, historically, Siakam has been a great player, but 13 wins, right? When you got a guy like Brandon Ingram who's leading Toronto in scoring, that doesn't get the nod. And also, man, he's dating Glorilla right now.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to add
so
that. Are you dating
marketing,
Glorilla? Yes, no. Okay, yes, he is. All right, we got to make something happen.
But because of the new format, I think you're gonna see that. We kind of predicted that this would happen, that there would be more of an international flair to this All-Star weekend.
So for people that don't know the new format, obviously it's kind of been changing every year.
It's evolving.
We have like a tough time getting a grasp on, all right, what is it this year? Because a couple years ago it was 3 teams and then not, and then a regular game not. So to make the new format work, the league has a roster minimum. So at least 16 American players and 8 international players must be selected. So now we have all these guys, and they'll be divided into 16, obviously American players, 8 European players. So in the West, we've got Luka. These are the All-Stars. We got Luka, Steph Curry, SGA, Jokic, Wemby, Ant, Jamal Murray, first time, by the way.
Yeah, congrats.
First time to Jamal Murray. Chet, KD, Book, Denny Avdia, and LeBron. So LeBron sneaks in there, just kind of, I picture LeBron like almost like a Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise, there's like a garage door closing and he's trying to get in and he slides under that shit. Like that's how I see LeBron. And he was asked about it and he said, hey, honestly, like I haven't been thinking about the All-Star game. I didn't care about the All-Star game. I played, I missed 14 games at the beginning of the season. There was a lot of rust to games that I was trying to get out. So I didn't think about the All-Star game. Of course, it extends his streak and kind of grows on the myth of LeBron's counting stats at the end of his career. But do you feel like the league was kind of just throwing LeBron in just in case that at next year he's like, hey, I'm done. I'm walking away from the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible.
Because he took Kawhi's spot.
Yeah,
basically.
well, look, here's the thing. If LeBron didn't get voted in, initially, that's one part of it. But for the coaches and whoever had a vote to vote him in, I mean, it is LeBron James. He does have an extreme impact on the game, and it's not like a bad thing for LeBron to be in the All-Star game. He's a fixture there. And if this is his last season, I'm glad he gets to go out as an All-Star. Would I say, there's people who deserved it over him? That's questionable with his impact on the game.
Kawhi or LeBron?
As far as what?
This season, All-Star.
This season? You know what? I would have to look at Kawhi's numbers, but Kawhi's had a fantastic season. I don't want to pit those two guys against each other because I think they're both legacy players. Obviously, LeBron's legacy is bigger, but I thought there were places that Kawhi could have fit in on that Western Conference team that didn't include LeBron.
So I know who that is. That's Denny Avia.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Kawhi or Chet?
You know what? Chet to me is a third option on a very good team. But the way that things go when you're the best team in the NBA, you have the best record. You usually get a few guys in. I remember the Atlanta Hawks got, several guys in, Kyle Korver, Al Horford. You know what I mean? There was a lot of guys from that Hawks team back in the days that got in because they were the best team.
Josh Smith,
yeah, all
ISO
those guys.
Joe.
All those guys got in that particular year. So I ain't mad at Chet. Chet is a young American player who's putting in work. But 17-8, do you weigh the wins and the losses over that? I think, historically, people have always kind of gone with the winning teams and want to try and at least get two players because J-Dub has been out all year.
Right, exactly. And
so I ain't really mad at the Chet thing either.
Agreed. But if you're trying to poke holes in some of these different selections to try and fit Kawhi in, who we've talked about has been playing at an all-star level, like I can't remember Kawhi being this good in a regular season in a really long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's obviously very in and out, ebbs and flows of the season. You kind of see him turn on closer to, March, April, May when, things start really heating up. But for him to be playing like this in January, December, that's not usually what we see from Kawhi.
Well, do you think maybe the coaches and the voters maybe, held some of the preseason, accusations against Kawhi in that moment? So, do you think that the injury parts play a part into that? Because there's guys who have missed games who are
still all-stars.
Yeah,
correct.
So it's a political thing. The game is happening in their building,
and to have no representation of your team in your building, like that's tough, especially when you have the fans that want to see their guys.
Yeah, but they had a slow start, right? And so maybe they were getting held accountable for that.
Sure, I did have an interesting thought. I think that Adam Silver picked up the phone, called the Clippers, and said, "Hey, look, I got bad news. All right, you got a beautiful new stadium. You guys got a ton of money. You guys got a very hot team right now. But we know what happened in the offseason. You know it. I know it. This shit wasn't right." So I think the Don had to call and say, "Hey, look, the penalty for what you guys did, no All-Stars. No All-Stars. We're not going to take it any further than that. But no All-Stars, even though you got two All-Stars on your team. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard have been fixtures in the All-Star game for as long as we can remember.
Yeah.
This year, no All-Stars.
Yeah.
You get the game, but no All-Stars, and then we make everything disappear from the aspiration situation. It's all gone. It's all swept under the rug. Next year, we got a new season. We won't even remember it. But right now, Kawhi Leonard, what your penalty is, you're not an All-Star this year. Do you think the Clippers call and be like, or they pick up that phone call and be like, all right, bet.
Yeah, I mean, they'll receive that, with no problem. They'll understand it. I don't think that's Adam's style a little bit. Maybe David Stern, Lord rest his soul. David Stern would have called and put down, took him to the
fear of
bar.
God in people.
What? Come on, man. That was a real G right there.
Does that mean it's a rattlesnake?
Is there like something that's...
What's more mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like... David Stern didn't play, man. He had like 13 different personalities, and all of them were alpha personalities. Brilliant man. Really, really had a, really can take a lot of credit for the growth of the game of basketball. He's somebody we really revere and respect and also fear.
Friend of the show, Amino Hassan, has David Stern stories for days.
I do too, man.
And his ability to be like, yeah, David wouldn't have stood for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
Like he
no.
would have called people out and said a lot of MFers, a lot of Bs, a lot of every word you can think of.
Yeah, David Stern didn't play any games, that's for sure. But also, man, the league is getting younger and it is getting more global. And I do think that from a fan base standpoint that you have to introduce these guys and help build their resumes up so that you can garner more attention, because a lot of our older players are on their way out. Right. And this is, you know, their opportunity for a victory lap and to kind of close out their careers on a high note. But we got to start like embracing the younger generation as well, man. These guys are extremely talented, extremely skilled, and they need to start being able to get some of the accolades as well. So I ain't really mad at it, but, you know, we just have to kind of point out some of the things that are obvious.
Yeah, I'm just looking here at the West. We'll get to the East in a second, but looking at the West, Luka, you could say new generation.
Yeah.
He's kind of in the middle though, because he's been around for a minute.
Yeah, but Luka's still a young guy.
Steph,
old school.
SGA, new school. Jokic, kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama, new school. Ant, new school. Jamal Murray, kind of in the middle. Yeah. Chet, new school. KD, old school. Book, kind of in the middle too. Denny Avia, obviously younger, and LeBron, older. Yeah. So like you got a good mix of guys that are the next generation of what the NBA is, and guys that I can't believe we're already closing the book on their careers, right? Like, and obviously it's different for me. We've got a bit of an age gap, but like you played with these guys and against these guys and have seen some of these guys when you were already a vet in the league, saw them come in, and all of a sudden they're closing the book on their career.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, that must be a kind of surreal feeling for you,
man,
right?
Listen, man, Father Time is undefeated. I think the All-Star Weekend, man, has been so good for the game for so long. But I think, you know, it's kind of running its course. You know, they're having a difficult time getting guys to participate in the dunk contest. A lot of the superstar players would prefer to have that week off and be able to kind of travel and relax. So D-Wade had made an interesting point about maybe doing something like the Pro Bowl, right? And doing something in the summertime that kind of celebrates the game. But All-Star Weekend, man, is such a big game for the business of basketball. And I just don't want this younger generation to minimize all the work that was put in for guys when they weren't making this type of money, when they didn't have this kind of influence, this kind of reach, this kind of opportunity. And you have to make sure that, like, for the legacy of the game, that you put in work. Even if you don't necessarily want to be there, man, let the fans enjoy the experience, get the most out of the experience, and make sure that the next generation can come through and still benefit from it.
When did you think that the All-Star game fell off? Because I mean, you could probably tell stories of watching All-Star games from the 90s, 2000s, where guys would get after it. There would be some defense played, and then, you know, clutch moments where the game is very close, under 5 minutes in the fourth, where people would really lock in.
Well, I saw KG say that the All-Star game kind of took a nosedive when LeBron didn't step up to the challenge when Kobe like hit the floor and was ready to like lock in. I know when Kobe saw Michael Jordan and those guys, Kobe wanted to go out against the best players and like try and put on a show, right? So I would say that it kind of happened on LeBron's watch.
It did.
It you know, and that's the reality of it. I know a lot of our fans who watch think I only, you know, celebrate LeBron.
Right?
Like, look, that guy was our nemesis when I was with the Celtics.
And
right?
every team you played for has been your nemesis.
Like he was our team's nemesis, not me individually, right? But we would, you know, have a lot of late nights thinking about like how can we control, contain, or, you know, stop LeBron. And so with that being said, like I feel like, you know, this newer generation, they don't compete the same way that a lot of the greater players use that platform for their game, for their benefit.
Do you think the game is too small now? And I'll explain what I mean by this. The game felt bigger back in the day because there was that animosity between some of the guys, right? Now growing up where basketball's been so globalized that by the time you get to the NBA, you look around your generation of guys that are getting into the league, you almost know every single guy.
For sure.
Because you played the AAU circuits, you've seen them since they were 12 years old. All of a sudden, now you're 22, 23, 24, and you're like, yeah, I've known this guy for 15 years. Like, I know this guy. This is my boy, right? Now that the camaraderie of the game has gotten tighter, where now the game is smaller because it's like, I don't, you know, like, we're boys. Like, I'm not trying to go after this guy. Like, I know everybody. Like,
yeah, I don't like it. Look, we grew up playing AAU as well. We were like one of the first generations to like, playing at Adidas camp or Nike camp, play USA basketball and be able to travel. So we played against Paul Gasol and a lot of those guys when we were teenagers, right? So we knew who they were. But I think the rules have allowed them to not like be like combative with one another. Like when you got somebody who's playing you with physicality and playing you, you know what I mean, really tough.
You can
and
only
really
answer
trying
back
to
with
lock you up,
physicality. Yep.
right? You know what I mean? There's a certain amount of like competition and masculinity that comes out in battling for that space. And because there's so much freedom of movement and things like that, I just don't think like from a mentality standpoint, and this is not the shit on the younger players because I respect them. I think they're the most talented, skilled players of generation that we've seen to this point. But the rules don't allow you to create those rivalries. Like, when Kurt Rambis and James Worthy and I'm using guys like Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn and those guys.
Rick was mean as a rattlesnake too.
Hey man, listen, those guys would clothesline you. Like they couldn't.
They would get arrested. They would arrest them outside if they were in the NBA. Now they'd get arrested.
They couldn't like each other because like you were really trying to like tear each other's head off. It's not until you see them older. And guess what? Even still to this day,
there's still not a lot of love.
Who, Isaiah and Michael Jordan can walk in the same room and they might not have words for one another, right? But man, in the 80s and the early 90s, man, they went at it, right? And they still hold those grudges. I don't think this generation has that. And it's kind of shunned down upon because I think there's only a few players that play with that kind of ferocity now. And some of them are celebrated, not most of them, but like Draymond is a guy who does it. Dylan Brooks
very
is
polarizing,
a guy.
but very both.
Dylan Brooks is a guy who does it. Now, a guy who we can appreciate the way that he plays is Isaiah Stewart out of Detroit. Like he stands on business every opportunity, but we kind of celebrate him as a Ben Wallace type. So I just think that the rhythm of the game and the rules of the game don't allow you to have those same type of rivalries.
Yeah, and like you mentioned Ben Wallace, like Ben Wallace, Sheed, Rip,
man,
Chauncey,
man,
like those guys were real deal.
Yeah,
you know what
man.
I mean? Like those were not guys that you wanted to cross.
Yeah.
When you were on the court, and it just feels like we have a lack of that. Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the last guy that, I mean, I'm just trying to think of the last guy, the last part of this generation that had that same competitive fire. And again, these guys are competitive. I'm not trying to take away anything from their competition, but you can tell the different hierarchy of competitive fire when you see somebody play on the court. Like Russ had that.
Yeah, Russ is a guy who has that had that energy and still has that energy. Chris Paul is a guy who played the game with that kind of ferocity. Most of us who competed against Chris Paul didn't like playing against him, right? Like Chris Paul was tough on officials,
coaches, players,
everybody.
Front office.
Like he would compete in every inch of the game, right? So,
but we're all talking about OGs. Like, who's the new school guy that you think of when you think of that competitive
that's a contributor?
Fire? Yeah,
on both ends. It's you know what?
The numbers dwindling.
They do, and I also think we don't respect the utility players the way that they used to be respected. Because
the
a lot
specialists,
yeah, I mean the three and the Bruce, Bruce Brown is a guy.
Yeah, Bruce Brown. Yeah,
but I was gonna say Bruce Bowen.
Yep.
Right, like that guy, like
Three
he didn't
and D.
average a lot of points or anything like that. But you hated playing against him. Raja Bell was a guy like that. There was several
Shane
guys.
Battier.
Oh, Battier, boy.
You got a good Battier story?
Boy, don't let nobody tell you Shane Battier wasn't about that life.
Okay, talk to me.
Hey, listen, let me tell you. Shane Battier will talk to you like Barack Obama off the court when he gets in front of the media. But when he gets on the court, boy, he was like Commando.
Really?
Oh, man, Shane Battier was a fierce competitor. Very underrated, for his toughness.
I can't believe that because you see him, he's so mild-mannered and he looks like such a nice guy.
Yeah.
But then when you step into the Gladiator, Coliseum,
yeah, man,
he was an MFer.
Yeah, Shane Battier, man, salute to him, man. Shane put in a lot of work, and I don't think we rarely mention Shane Battier, and he was College Player of the Year. He
was a badass at Duke. Yep,
he was #1 player coming out of high school, out of Michigan, and man had an incredible NBA career as a role player, and he played his role, to perfection.
It feels like there's not a lot of role players left, right? Like the role player where it's like, all right, I'm a defensive specialist, I'm a stopper, or I'm a 3-point shooter, or I'm I'm a scorer, right? I'm a microwave off the bench. I'm going to get you buckets. It feels like everybody has to have star qualities, and there's no room for kind of any movement of being like a specialist. Like we think about Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is not a incredible basketball player. What he is an incredible offensive rebounder, an incredible shot blocker, right? And he's got a big high motor when it comes to doing what he's got to do. Like he's very specialized. He averages, by the way, a crazy stat. He's averaging 5 offensive rebounds a game.
That's amazing.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody averaging 5 offensive rebounds a game.
What state is he from?
Talk to him.
He's a Florida boy.
Come on.
He's a Florida boy. Even though it's Panhandle, and I know it's kind of,
we
regional,
got it in there though. It's in there.
But
but there's no specialist, right?
There's no specialist because like the way that the game is played, it's a lot of interchangeable parts and pieces. The skill set has like elevated so much that guys can do a lot of things. I think coaches have kind of taken off the handcuffs, so to speak, where, players do have freedom, right? It's not like, okay, I'm calling a play for this guy and that's the option and that's what it is. And so the game is more collaborative now and everybody plays alike, right?
Right. But we've lost a specialist. In that happening, where the evolution of the game has happened, we've lost a specialist.
We've lost a specialist and we've lost the uniqueness of coaching. Everybody runs pretty much the same offense, the same zoom action, the same pick and roll action. Flip Saunders and Larry Brown's system was different. Pat Riley's system and Phil Jackson's triangle offense was different. Everybody plays alike. And you have to really look at the analytics. And because the analytics are in the game now and they want you to play at a certain pace and get a certain amount of attempts and
amount of
rim threes, specialize in the corner and things like that. So it's really shifted, and we got people who didn't play the game and didn't have an eye for the game that have a big influence and an impact on how the game is being played. But, I think it's necessary to have them because our game has grown on that watch. But a lot of basketball purists don't like the way that the game is played anymore. I miss physicality. I miss defense. I miss rivalries. I miss having to play through adversity and resistance, right? Because I don't really know how skilled as these guys are, they are good enough to be able to play through a bent elbow or a little hand check where you have to get it out. To not be able to touch, it just doesn't make any sense because certain guys who had an incredible impact on the game wouldn't be able to play in this kind of game.
Right. You talk about Shane Battier. Would Shane Battier be able to play in this day and age?
Shane Battier would have been able to play in any era. He was a junkyard dog, and don't forget he's 6'8", 225, 230, maybe even bigger than that, depending on what year you called him. Not Memphis Shane, but Miami Heat Shane.
Right.
But he could shoot the ball. He can, drive.
Has 6 threes in an NBA Finals game.
Yeah, Shane Battier was one of those guys whose skill set would have translated in multiple generations.
I love that because I know I've heard Kobe, and I think this was when Shane was back with the Rockets back in 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. Where it's hardest guy to guard that I have that guards me well is Shane Battier.
Yeah.
And that was Kobe saying that. And Kobe gets buckets on everybody.
Yeah, well, he probably mentioned Tony Allen as well.
Tony Allen.
Real junkyard dog. Real junkyard dog.
Those are Grind City boys. Those are some tough ass teams. Were you on that team
with
with Tony?
I played. We went to the conference finals and got taken out. We got swept by the Spurs, young Kawhi, that year. But man, it was fun playing with Big Marc Gasol. That was 13. Big Marc Gasol, Big Zebo.
And that was kind of Zebo at the end too,
Mike
right?
Conley Jr.
Tough as hell.
Tony Allen. Tayshaun Prince was on that team as well. So yeah, we had a nice little squad. I came to that team later in the year, so it wasn't the best experience for me. My body wasn't prepared to play, and I didn't have that continuity. But I still enjoyed the ride.
That's a fun team. Yeah. That Zebo team, Mike Conley. Who was at the 2?
Tony Allen.
Tony Allen, that's right.
Yeah, Tony Allen.
Back when, again, you had the specialist of Zebo, back to the basket god.
Yeah, back to the basket, but also Zebo will face you up and jab jumper you like crazy.
We don't have the jab jumper. I was watching a replay of Melo, okay? Melo getting in the triple threat, like we talked about. Nobody does the triple threat anymore. Baseline, triple threat, up this way, up, boom, shot.
Yeah.
And he did it 3 or 4 different times in that game. And I was just like, man, nobody has that bag anymore.
You know what? It's so surprising because back in the days when you were coming from some of the inner city areas, and a lot of times we would get the ball and put it down on the floor, right? And we had to learn how to play out a triple threat, and that was like the way that you initiate your
The
moves,
offense, right?
right? And it's just changed so much, man. I really think that a lot of coaches in the urban pockets of our country in particular, like they don't get enough credit for like the imprint of the game, right? Because the fast pace and the pressing offense and, you know, shooting threes and playing free, that was like shunned upon, you know, when we were trying to go to the next level. Like, oh, he doesn't play with structure and things
Right, doesn't
like
have
that.
the fundamentals.
Right, but that's the way everybody plays now. So shout out to all the developmental coaches from back in the 80s and 90s, you know, that used to let us go out there and just hoop.
Let's get to the Eastern Conference All-Stars. Tyrese Maxey, who
Facts.
very well deserved.
Facts.
Jalen Brunson,
Mm-hmm.
Cade, Jaylen Brown, Giannis, obviously not going to play, but Giannis in there, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Johnson, Cat, Pascal Siakam, like you said, Norm Powell, Scottie Barnes, Jalen Duren, first-time All-Star Jalen Duren. So a couple of Pistons in there, obviously the best team in the conference, couple of Pistons. Couple of Knicks. Do you feel okay with, obviously Brunson, yes. You feel okay with Cat there?
I mean, look, Cat is leading the league in rebounding, is he not?
Close to, if not, he's close to it.
Yeah, so I think last I checked, he was
Multiple
leading the
20
league.
rebound games this season.
So,
also.
you know, I know he's having a, you know, down year from an offensive standpoint, and he's still learning Mike Brown's system. But Cat is an all-star player. I think this is what, his 6th or 7th time being an all-star. But there are players who probably could have been in that role. I think, you know, Cat, because he has his ties with being from the DR or, you know, having roots in the Dominican Republic, is kind of benefiting, you know, from having that international feel, right? Because he'll be able to go on the international side.
I think they're going to play. He's going to play an American as an American in the All-Star game. Him and Norm Powell, even though they've played for different countries in international play, they're playing as Americans.
That's news to me. But yeah, I mean, look, Cat is still 20 and 10, right?
Yeah, he's still
20
very
and 10.
good.
The Knicks are still, you know, at the, you know, in the top 3 or 4 in the East. So
yeah,
you know,
been hot as recent, won 6 in a row.
I'm not mad at that. I still feel like Brandon Ingram, you know, has had a better season than Cat. You know, and that's just my opinion on it.
I'm looking at it here. Okay, so we got Luka in the international SGA, Jokic, Wemby, Jamal Murray, Denny Avia. That's 6. Giannis, even though he's not going to play, so they got to figure something out there. And that's kind of it. So they're gonna have to kind of move some stuff around because I think they said
Siakam.
Siakam too. My bad. Yeah.
Yep. So Siakam. So they'll probably have to, you know, fill that with an international player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the East, I mean, it's not an obvious pick, right? If it was the West, you could probably say Sangoon or somebody. Sangoon. Am I saying his name wrong? Shangoon. Who's cold, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's a guy.
He might be the best player on the Rockets.
They're there.
He might be the best player on the Rockets.
They're there.
There's still a little.
They still got this. They still got.
a guy.
They still got a skinny legend over there.
Still got a KD over there, huh?
Still got a skinny legend over there who is
still doing it.
Still elite. But man, just salute to all those young guys, man. I just hope that they go out and they put on a show because the fans want to see it. Our game needs it. The All-Star game means a lot to our corporate sponsors and to the building of the brand of the game. And yeah, man, I just hope the guys really go out and embrace it and give the fans what they need.
Yeah, the All-Star game needs a resuscitation, right? Like
Facts.
it's been on life support for a while.
Yeah.
And they need to do something to kind of shake it up and to give it some life. And maybe the international versus American thing works.
It might.
Because it might be like,
fun.
all right, wait a second, hold up. I'm going to show up for my country and we're going to do what we got to do.
It should be fun though.
So I'm going to be watching, right? Like, but
I will too.
Hopefully this new system kind of can draw a couple more eyeballs and people will say, you know what? Like, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll check it out to see what's up. One thing that happened over the weekend, we got an alert from Shams Charania, who said that Paul George is going to be suspended for 25 games.
Yeah.
He got popped for what Paul George himself said were mental health medications. So per the CBA and the ability to kind of not let some of that public stuff be known as far as why things were positive on the test, we don't really know what he was taking or what he tested positive for.
Right.
Paul George came out and said it was mental health medication. So I'm going to leave the floor to you to see what you think of the quote unquote mental health medication as the excuse.
So I see it in a layered situation, right? The first thing, mental health is real. One of the biggest things that plague our superstars is that there's not a lot of OG vets in the locker room that can kind of help them navigate how to deal with things. There's really nobody who can like kind of give them guidance. So they're like, it's a very lonely place to be a superstar player in the NBA. It's a very lonely place to be, right? Obviously, he's dealt with injuries and people talking about him and criticizing him and things like that, and that has an impact on your mental health. So I'll lay that out there first. Mental health is a real thing. It is nothing to play with, and I empathize for anybody who might be suffering in silence. There is help
Millions
out there.
of people too that are doing
there's
that.
help out there, and I'm living proof, that you can rebound from going through some type of setbacks. Now, with that being said, you have team doctors that if you're going through something that you can go and talk to. Every team has some type of mental health services.
Yeah, can you talk to the structure of that? Obviously, you've been in many different programs.
Man.
Like, can you just some people don't understand exactly what the resources are, even outside of the money you have.
Yeah.
Just being with the team.
Let me lay it out real quick. So every team has either a licensed mental health, either psychologist, psychiatrist, or therapist, right? Most teams have two people, right, internally. So for players, you don't necessarily, when you're having an issue with your mental and emotional health, or you're going through something personally, you don't really want to go to the team for that. Excuse me. So what the NBA Players Association has done is that they've put together a network of doctors that are outside of
your team structure,
right?
wow.
And so in every NBA city, there are mental health resources that don't have anything to do with your team to protect your confidentiality and your privacy. So with that being said, I wish he would have taken that approach. He could have saved himself $12 million. He could have, not put his team in this kind of predicament. And he could have, from a reputational standpoint, not have to have this stain on his resume. But I dig it. I understand. Sometimes we suffer in silence. And because he's on a public platform and he is Paul George, he is PG, 13, right? All those different things. It's not easy to ask for help. And it was probably a very vulnerable time. And so instead of asking for help, he went and tried to make a way for himself. And I empathize for it, but it was a costly mistake.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with it, coming from a different angle, is look, you have all these resources, right? You know exactly what you're not a rookie in this league. It's not your first time going around saying, "Oh, can I take this? Can I take that?"
Yeah.
You've been in this league for a long damn time.
Yeah.
Right. You've been to all these different places. You've been to conference finals. You've been to all-star games. You've done it all, seen it all. You know exactly what the protocol is.
You do.
And I'm sure there's stuff that you've taken that we don't even know about, that is completely within the guidelines of you being able to take it, and you took it to the right people and made sure that it was under the protocol, you were able to take it. Now this one, right, now it's all of a sudden, oh no, it's mental health medicine. Bro, you know what the deal is. Take it to your doctor, right? If it's the doctor that prescribed it to you that is within network for the NBA, they know exactly, they got a data bank of exactly what you can and cannot take. Hey, can I take this? Nah, you can't take that one. That's got this and that, whatever, you're going to get popped for it. Okay, fine. Can I take this one? Yep, that works. That works the same way. You can do it. You're good under the guidelines of the CBA and under what the NBA has.
Yeah.
When you are foolish enough and not responsible enough to do what you got to do, which you're out $12 million now because of the 25-game suspension, it leads me to believe, PG, this is a very easy way to get the scent off the trail, right? And I'm coming at it from the devil's advocate perspective.
No, you get to do that.
Because we've never heard of any sort of issue, right? And now all of a sudden there's mental health medications that are being taken that are getting popped for whatever it is that, we don't know the substance that got popped, but it was already, on the exam. But like, it's an easy way to kind of just say, yeah, mental health. All right, let's kind of move it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's a personal thing. Okay, whatever.
No, I don't think he's going to be able to get off the hook that easy. Because like everybody knows that they don't test for cannabis anymore, right? There was a lot of guys who advocated, to, make those rules a little bit like more of a monolith, right? Like as far as the other sports leagues. So, accountability. We have to talk about accountability.
Yeah.
But when you talk about mental health, a lot of times it comes out in different ways,
Sure.
right? And a lot of times we mask our pain. And it's not comfortable necessarily to talk, about what you're going through. Addiction is a real thing. You never know. Somebody might be struggling, with addiction, and they might think that they can, okay, they might not come and get me today. I can, like kind of predict when they're going to come and get me and things like that. But it's not until something like this happens that, we talk about it, number one. But also number two, it allows the person who's experienced it to reach a new level of accountability.
Yeah.
Look, I've had my fair share of issues in my life,
Sure.
right? And a lot of times they were in the public, right? But before they became public, you know what I mean? I did things in the darkness, right? And what's done in the dark will come to the light.
Always.
And, hopefully he can use this as an opportunity to, just get better as a person, grow into this, be accountable for it. Because if you're not accountable for it, and if you don't be real with yourself, that same pattern could repeat itself. And I think he's just too good of a person to let that happen to him.
Yeah. And when you talk about the money part, and it's like, all right, $12 million over the 25 games that he's forfeiting, you take a look at what PG's made in his career.
Yeah.
And you realize that like $12 million is nothing.
Yeah, he ain't
PG
ripping
$408 million to today that he's made. If he plays out the rest of his deal, it's gonna make $628 million as a career.
Yeah.
$12 million. You're talking about
amazing.
1% of what his total net worth is.
And I think some good can come from this because, like, when he's, ready and, on his terms, because he has his own podcast and things like that. I think it's an opportunity, man, for you to, like, sometimes we have plans, but God has purpose. And when you're experiencing these things like this, a lot of times, it's moments like this that'll allow you to talk and use your platform. To, take people through that experience so you can either, one, help people who might be experiencing what you're experiencing, but also, two, to prevent people from going down that cycle.
Downfalls, right?
Right, and trying to do it on their own. So I think there's some lessons to be learned here for not just PG, but for everybody who's kind of watching as well.
And don't get me wrong, like I play the devil's advocate portion because there is a part of the population that is like, all right, that's kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy cop out. If it is a situation where he's seeking a way to alleviate pain that he's feeling mentally, I'm hoping that what he was able to take helped him in such a way that the $12 million like is nothing in comparison to the peace that he feels. I'm hoping.
I feel you.
But I'm also hoping that it's not just something of like, yeah, it's a sleight of hand trick where I'm just showing you guys over here, but really like what I'm doing is over here. And couching that as a mental health problem when people are really dealing with that kind of stuff, and it allows for you to do it under the rug and kind of sweep everything through. That to me is bullshit.
It'll minimize and desensitize us to when guys
to the work that's already been done.
Yeah, it's mental health is a real thing.
Guys like DeMar DeRozan, guys like Kevin Love that have talked about in games panic attacks or stuff that we can't even fathom from a perspective of being the elite of the elite of the elite, but still feeling less than.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like that stuff that's real. So if it's really that, put your name on it, stand on it. Hey, I took X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Don't hide behind mental health medicine when it could be bullshit.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing to me that was.
Champ. I appreciate that perspective.
Of course, and it is what it is.
Feel.
Really quick before we get out, I want to talk about two different teams.
Okay.
That I got an eye on right now. One of them lost recently, yesterday. Oklahoma City Thunder going to Denver, beat Denver. Jokic's first couple games back after the knee injury he suffered here in Miami. But I want to talk about the Denver Nuggets for a second because I'm really intrigued by what they are as a collective. Obviously, Jokic, arguably when he's healthy and ready to go, best player on the planet, if not top three players on the planet.
Absolutely.
Denver's in a very interesting spot right now because when you look at the Western Conference standings, you got OKC, who's having a down year, right? We thought they were going to win 82 games. We thought they were going to go undefeated, and then they didn't.
They came out the gate like that.
And all of a sudden, they've had some injuries. Caruso's been hurt. J-Dub has been hurt. Like there's been a lot of missing pieces there into that machine, even though they are still a super well-oiled machine and probably still the favorites to win the NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs have been a great story this season. Wemby coming back from injury, not playing a ton, but the team around him playing great. and that's the second seed. The only thing that that separates the Spurs and the Nuggets is one game in the loss column, right? I think the Spurs are 33-17 or 33-16, and the Nuggets are 33-17.
Right.
So it's one game, basically a half game. With Jokic missing as much time as he did, the team around Jokic, Murray, Timmy Hardaway Jr., South Florida kid, Peyton Watson, who's been playing great.
He's emerging.
Cam Johnson, who's been hurt, but Christian Brown's been hurt too. Aaron Gordon's been hurt, but they're 33-17.
Yeah.
And like that's been a huge step because if you take 15 out of the building, that is a team that is not that good.
Right.
But they've really rallied around each other and created a winning culture. Coach Adelson's been doing a great job with them. I feel like right now, as we sit here on February 2nd, I like Denver as a dark horse to come out of the West.
I'm not mad at that. And see, this is the thing. When you have a good team like that, really it's a program, right? And it starts from the top down. And they have done a really good job of rallying behind their young coach. Jokic, he really sets the tempo. You got a lot of champions over there, guys who were on that championship team. And when injuries happen, some of these younger players get better, right? And Peyton Watson, man, he is a guy, man, who in college kind of struggled his freshman year, but had a lot of upside, didn't get a lot of playing time with Coach Malone. But now look at him, right? He's looking like a guy who is here to stay, right? They really did a good job of developing him. And if they get Gordon back, if they get Braun back, if they get Cam Johnson back, if they get all these guys and they get Joker healthy, anytime you have Joker on a team, you can damn near beat the USA team, you know what I mean, by yourself. So,
And Jamal Murray obviously all-star for the first time in his career.
Congratulations to him.
But that's a dude that has seen it, right? He's been through all these playoff battles. He scored 50 points.
Yeah.
He scored 50 points in the playoffs multiple times, which is insane. Pre-All-Star, I don't think there had been a non-All-Star to score as many 50-point games in the playoffs as Jamal Murray.
Yeah. He deserves it, man. He deserves it. He's one of those guys, I mean, dude, he's in the West. It's so many good wing and combo guards, right? In the West. So it's good to see him doing that. He's been putting in work for a long time. And yeah, man, that's not a bad pick for a dark horse.
I really like my dark horse Western Conference champion, the Denver Nuggets. Switching over to the East, a team that had been kind of one of the worst teams in the league from a win-loss record for 11-game stretch. They were 2-9. The New York Knicks have won 6 in a row after a lot of swirling conversations about locker room toxicity. Is Cat the right fit? Is he playing defense? Is he doing the little things that he needs to do to make sure that this Knicks team is playing winning basketball? And I don't know. They had a players-only meeting that wasn't a players-only meeting that, I guess a lot of things got aired out and hashed out, but the Knicks are winners of 6 in a row. Apparently, we haven't talked about Giannis this episode. The trade deadline is Thursday. Apparently, from what sources have been saying across the league, that the Knicks are really not in the Giannis discussion right now.
Okay.
They're wiping their hands of it. They feel like they got a good enough team to compete for a championship now without the need for Giannis Antetokounmpo. What is your thoughts on how you see the Knicks basically bowing out of the Giannis sweepstakes?
I mean, I don't like
Would you advise them to not bow out?
I would definitely advise them to not bow out. But they did get it. They got rid of a lot of their assets to get Bridges and to bring some of the guys in. So I do understand that part of it. To me, I know they won 6 in a row. That team is not good enough, to win the East. There's chemistry issues. It's a new coach and a new system, so I don't think they're as fluent. Like their bench, sometimes they play Landry, sometimes it's Clarkston. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of moving
mismatching pieces, right?
I don't think they have enough depth. I don't think they have enough size. I don't think they have enough shooting. I think the ball gets stuck a lot of times, and I think it's very difficult to win the conference with your best player being 6'1" and a liability, somewhat on the defensive end. Right. But I still respect them as a team. They're a team who can beat anyone. But I would think Detroit is still the favorite. I would even say, man,
Boston.
I would even say Boston over New York. I just don't like their their camaraderie, brother. I just don't see them playing hard for one another.
So you think this 6-game winning streak is a bit more of a Band-Aid than the reality of what the situation is?
I just think they're talented. They're good. They're a good team, and so just like they can, lose, 9 out of 11, they can win,
6.
they can, like, they're an inconsistent team, right?
And people here probably understand because they've probably been through it at least once or twice in their life. It feels like right now the Knicks are that girlfriend that you kind of have an issue with, but like you like each other and you're like, yeah, we're doing it like we're cool. But then there's always that one thing that's like, ooh, I don't know. Like there's some sort of butting of heads, and it's like, all right, let's go on a vacation. We'll be chill. Like it's all good. You go out to you're out in Jamaica. You're chilling. All right, it's been a nice 6 days. We've been a week on the cruise. We've got hearts in our eyes. Everything is great. But then you get back home and you're like, she's doing that shit again, man. I can't believe her, man. I'm done with it. So like that's how I look at it. This 6-game stretch has been a bit of a honeymoon situation where now the Knicks are like looking around after this guy's on this bullshit again. This coach is this and blah blah blah.
And I could be reading it wrong. Maybe that team, meeting really like cleared the air,
locked in,
right? And Cat has a big, Cat's gonna play a big role in it. If Cat doesn't give himself to the team defensively, and if he doesn't buy into the offensive concepts and not let his body language or not let his own ego get in his way, then maybe they have a chance. Because like I believe Cat is a talented enough player. As good as he is offensively, dude, you can be as good on defense. You can move your feet. You can, have some resistance. He's doing a great job rebounding, but he's got to buy into the team from a toughness standpoint. He really does.
Yeah, absolutely. Thursday is the trade deadline. We had a couple small trades happen. DeAndre Hunter got sent over to Sacramento for a couple of pieces over to the Cavs. The Bulls were in play too. They got a couple second-round picks and a couple players. Trade deadline's Thursday. What does your gut tell you? Do we have a big trade in the works for Thursday? Yeah. Whether it be Giannis, whether it be Ja, whether it be somebody.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a pretty robust trade deadline. And I don't know if all the superstar players that we're talking about, like you'll see them, a lot of big changes. I think Giannis will end up leaving, getting traded, because you just don't want him going into, the final, contract year without,
in the wind, right?
You lose so much value that those offers that Golden State and everybody can make, they won't make those offers in the summertime,
right?
In my opinion. So I don't know if you'll see a whole bunch of superstar players being traded, but a lot of role players and interchangeable pieces that teams feel like they can either get under the cap or under a threshold. So I think it'll be a lot of movement. I just don't know how much superstar movement it'll be, but it'll be some moving pieces.
It's always fun. We're hoping for some superstar movement.
Yeah, man. Well, I am too, man. I want to see those superstars in those big markets.
Some big markets.
Hopefully, preferably, down south.
Down on Biscayne Boulevard.
In South Beach,
that'd be nice.
That'd be great.
All right, make sure to check us out. We'll be live. We'll be over Thursday. We're still debating. Maybe we go live on Thursday, which we've never done before. Do we have the opportunity to go live? The producer, okay. Producers say it might be possible, so maybe we go live on Thursday for a little trade deadline action. Yeah. I think the deadline is either at 3 or 4.
Okay.
So we got some juice there. We got
some wiggle room.
We got some wiggle room.
Let's see what happens.
We may be live or we may, tape and then send it out afterwards. But either way, make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen to your stuff. Make sure to lock in on the crossover.
Yes, sir. Another good job,
Come on, baby. Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's see if Giannis.
Let's go.
Get 34 down here, man.
Let's go.